Hi everyone, it's Mish here. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, thanks for stopping by. And if you are one of my crafty friends and kindred spirits, thanks so much for hanging out with me this morning or this afternoon or tonight, whichever time that you are watching this. Today's project, I am going to be continuing on with my Christmas journal. However, I'm going to be doing some of the prompts from Junk Journal January. It was in my mind to do the whole challenge like I did Junk Journal July of 2024, but I'm just not going to have enough time to do a prompt every day. So I thought I would just come on and do the prompts as I can. It is January the 4th today. It's Saturday. I'm not sure if this is going to come out tomorrow or Monday because the Marguerite Miller prompts have come out and I will be starting that. I usually do the Marguerite Miller for Sundays, but we're a bit delayed, so I may actually this week not get it out on Sunday, but Monday or Tuesday. So I'm not really sure when this video that you're watching right now is going to air. However, the prompts up to this point, so up to the 4th, the prompts were cover, envelope, tickets, and outline. I am going to start with the cover, just because I've been wanting to get my cover on my journal. I do have other videos putting together the journal and working in some of the pages and stuff in my playlist, which I believe is Junk Journal with Mish. But I am going to start this one as hashtag Junk Journal January. Right. What I did this morning is I went through a lot of my stash of material and laces and stuff, and I'd been wanting to use this eyelet lace. It reminded me of my high school prom dress, believe it or not, and I believe this was a panel I got at Value Village, and it was a part of a curtain, and I've cut it down to size to the size that I've wanted, and then I took it to the sewing machine and I sewed around the 3 edges just to prevent it from fraying. But if you don't have a sewing machine, you could just take a glue gun or Fabri-Tac and just tack that down. I could put my glue gun on. The thing with the glue gun sometimes is it leaves a ridge, so I think I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac. Right, so I'm going to try and find the middle-ish of this. And I do have, I forget how wide this is. I think it's 1.25 inches. No, it's 2.5. So that would be 1.25 inches on each side. So there's my 1.25 inches. A little less. So 1.5 inches, 3/8 inch. So roughly around here is the middle. And I'm only wondering that because I want to try to get this so it's somewhat centered. So for now, I'm just going to tack it in the middle. I know for sure there's going to be extra ribbons and stuff on top of that, just so I can get this positioned. And I want it to go in the front and line up roughly with that line there. And line up with the back. Okay. So once I get that tacked down, alrighty. So for right now, I'm just going to work on this on stages because I want to make sure that's good and tacked down. So I'm just going to set that aside. Maybe this way. The other thing I want to do is I want to make a folio for the top. And this is where the prompt, I guess it's day 5, January day 5 of depth. So depth is the prompt for the 5th. But I am going to incorporate it into these prompts today. And with depth, I'm creating a little bit of depth by making a bit of a spine on the sides of my folio. I'm going to do this a little bit like the envelope that we made in the journal. but I'll give you the dimensions of this. I took a 12 by 12 sheet of pattern paper, and this pattern paper came from the Cartabella of Vintage Christmas, which was a gorgeous paper pad. And I've cut that down so it's 6 by 12. Then on the long inch side, and I made sure when I cut it that it was in the direction that I wanted. So I wanted the poinsettias to be, the little balls to be kind of facing up, as it looked more natural to be this way as opposed to kind of this way or upside down. I felt that looked upside down. So when I cut it so that it was being cut on with the direction facing that way, because then I was turning it for my booklet and I knew that the direction would be correct. I also almost always do a template or pattern first. I just took a piece of scrap paper. This was just 8.5 by 11. I didn't have 12-inch scrap, but it didn't really matter. And on the 12-inch side, I scored at 4 1/4, 4 3/8, 4 1/2. So I made 3 little score lines there. Okay, so that's 4 1/4, 4 3/8, and 4 1/2. And then towards the end, I did the same thing at 8 3/4, 8 1/4, and 9. And those were just to make a little rolling spine, because if I didn't have enough stuff in it on my cover, it would flatten a little bit, which was great because then it would be less bulky. Right. That's my folio, the start of it. I also want to do a rounded flap, cover flap. So I've taken my compass, but you can get circle die. The thing with the circle die is you don't want to be cutting out a circle, or you'll cut your paper. So I don't think a circle die is probably a good idea, but a bowl or something round, or you could use your circle die as a stencil or a template to outline your circle. But I've got my compass here. I use my compass quite a bit. I do like to find the center. And I find this Tim Holtz center ruler is invaluable to me. Anyway, so this is 6 inches, which is easy if it's just 3 inches. It is the middle. But then I can line this up pretty good. And I'm going to make a little mark. Actually, I lined this up, although I lined this up already on my template. And it was about there, which was the center. So let me see if that's correct here. I'm just going to find the center. It was about there. Right, and then I wanted to put my point where it would reach the top, but because my dimensions changed, it didn't quite work out. So let's see. I still want to find the middle. There's the middle. And I'm going to make this a bit smaller. Because of course it doesn't have to be completely. Oh, I got an idea, I think I'm only gonna round the top of it. So I'm gonna go right, I'm in the middle because my dot's there, and I'm gonna go right to the outside edge like so, and I'm only gonna make a mark as far as it goes. Okay. And this is also the prompt for day 4, outline. So to do an outline, and I'll be doing more of the outline, but you can take a stencil, you can use your compass, you could use a die, you can get a template off the internet and use it and then cut that out. So I'm kind of liking that. So then my cover will look like that. I also want to put, oh yeah, I think I'll like that. All right, so let's get back to this. Okay, that is definitely attached down. And I'm liking how that is looking. So I'm going to further use my Fabri-Tac to glue down that eyelet lace. Okay. Put some of the Fabri-Tac, just a little bit. I'm not putting a lot. I don't want it really to seep through the lace, but I want the lace to stay down when I'm moving my book around. Okay, so let's close that and pull that across. Okay, I'm liking that. And then I'm just going to flip it over, and I'll do the same on the back. I kept hearing noises. I thought it was coming from outside, that somebody was talking outside my window or something. So I was kind of looking out. And because I didn't know where Chester was. And then when I realized it wasn't people talking, it was him snoring. He snores a lot, and when I first got him from the rescue, I went online because I was concerned that he was making these noises, and of course, the stuff you read on the internet just serves to alarm you. And it's just the way he is. He's been here. Gosh, I couldn't believe it. We were talking over Christmas. I got him at Christmas time. Just sort of a birthday Christmas present for myself. I picked him up at the SPCA. Okay, I want this to look relatively straight, but there we go. And we were talking over Christmas. How long has Chester been here? How old's Chester? And my goodness, I had him before COVID. He's been here, 5 years. Anyways, he's made out all right. He's an indoor cat, so he doesn't go outside. He got out once, which was one of the most stressful experiences I had in a long time. But this was a while ago. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then the folio is eventually just going to sit there. So that's good. Now I want to get down my little colored flap. However, before I put this down, I want to get my wire. I've already bent it a bit of where it kind of needs to go. Okay, we cut out there, but I have got that ribbon on, and I just tacked it a little bit with some Fabri-Tac, which I'm not sure if Fabri-Tac is held or not. And then I have another piece of wire ribbon. If you don't like the wire, you can pull the wire out or just cut it. If you don't want like the border edge, you can cut that right off. But I'm going to keep them both as I want. I kind of like that effect. So I'm just going to put that across there. Okay, so I really like that. And then we're going to get that, try to center this. I might have to pull this off frame for a minute to try to get it. Actually, first of all, I'm going to use a wee little bit of score tape to stick those down. I'm not sure if the score tape will stick, but it usually does stick to material. If I can get the backing off. Okay, and then I'm centering that. All right. And we'll see if this works. I could put a little bit of Fabri-Tac there too. Let's just try this. Okay, so I've got that tacked in place. And then I'm just going to put some Fabri-Tac, like I did before, straight down the middle and hope that it holds. And then that'll just kind of tack it in place and I can work from there. All right. So I want even top and bottom, and I kind of want it centered as best I can. So there's about yeah, that's about, it's good enough. There's about 3/4 of an inch top and bottom. Okay. So I'm just going to let that, adhere a little bit and go back to our folio. Okay, so we've got our folio, we have it rounded, and then I'm just going to decorate it a little bit. So for the decoration, I do have some cards that came with the card kit, and I thought that I would just decorate this up a little bit. I kind of like that. Now I have 2 cards, or I had 2 cards. Maybe this one. That I was going to put on the, this is going on the inside. This one here. I have this one, and I had this one that I was going to put them so that you couldn't see the one behind until you opened. But I kind of like this one for the front. And then we can open up this one for that one. I did have a couple other cards here, but I like those 2 the best, because for the cover, I really didn't want to start into Season's Greetings, because for mine, it's a December journal as well. If your guys are sick of Christmas, then you know you can use this technique, this project for any of your journals. I'm just thinking, yeah, I want that on the front. I don't need Fabri-Tac for this. I'm just going to put a little bit on this side, and then let's see here. I could also layer. I could also do some other layering underneath there. But the thing that I want to do before I put this down, I want to put a magnet here. So let's go back to this here, this one here. For this one here, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of layering. So I just want to get this down. I've already found my magnets I'm going to use. So for this, I don't need tiny magnets. And these magnets I've had kicking around. They're the gray magnets. And they're the ones that are, well, I'd say they're 5/8, but what their actual size are doesn't really say. But they are the large magnetic discs. I'm going to use one of these. Okay, and I'm going to just take off the backing of that. Just stick it down roughly there. Stick it down. And that'll be underneath this card here. The one on top of it would be about there. So to keep that in place, I'm just going to put a little bit of, because I want that on the back. And I don't want tape between there. Okay, well let's get to this one after. For this one here, again, I'm just not going to layer it. I might put I might layer on top of it, but I'll probably put like some little sayings or something. And I'm happy to get this down. I'm not going to use it as a tuck spot or anything like that. So let's just get it down. I am going to try to center it as best I can. So trying to get top and bottom roughly the same, as well as these edges. Okay. Okay, so we got that one down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there just to tack it in place in case I want to layer something else underneath it. So I'm just going to cut this off. Okay. And I think I will put just a little bit extra score tape on there this way to give it extra strength on the top part so that it doesn't just pull off. Okay, and then this will go down on top of there. But I could also, I'm also going to put, the thing is I want to secure this, so if I'm going to tuck something underneath it, too bad, so sad. I want to get this down and make sure it's secure. Okay, so let's just do it. There we go, it's down. Sometimes you just have to make a decision, I guess. Okay, so just going to get this tack down there to secure that and let that dry. And then we have our opening of our folio. So that's the start, and then it's gonna, you'll open it up once that's all adhered. For sure. And then you'll have your inside. And then on the inside, I thought I'd have a little pocket here. And again, for depth, what we could do is make a couple accordions for the side. And to do that, I'm just going to grab some scrap paper. And here's a piece of file folder, which is scrap, and it actually matches the tone, so that's fine. And I'm going to cut a hinge or a piece of paper and just fold it accordion. And I'll do the piece of paper about 3 3/4 long. So I'll get out my trimmer and I'll go 3 3/4 this way. And then if I'm going to have the folds, I think I'll do a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut 1 1/4 inches. It may be, I may need less, but let's just try this one. And if I score at 1/4, so I score at 1/4, you can fold it at 1/4 or take your ruler and draw some lines and fold on the lines. But if I fold every 1/4 of an inch and I fold it accordion style, you don't need a file folder because this is pretty thick. Just a standard piece of cardstock will do. This might be too thick. But you just fold it accordion style, back and forwards. Okay, I'm going to get this done and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I just found a piece of just Michael's, the regular little cardstock, and it works much better. It's more flexible than the heavier file folder. And again, it was 3 3/4 by 1 1/4. And then I scored each at each quarter of an inch to get that zigzag spine, like such. And then I've already glued one side down to my pocket, and then I'm just going to, I think I'm going to glue these. You don't really have to, but I'm going to glue the very ends of these together. And like so. And I'm considering using score tape because score tape is a sturdier tape, but I don't think it matters really. It's going to adhere. I'm just going to come along this edge with my Elmer's glue. Okay, and then along the bottom here. And then when this sets, when this glue sets, it will create depth in that pocket. So I'm just trying to center this some so that my flaps will close on each side. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it down. And the score tape works a lot faster, of course. And I might have to resort to the score tape if this doesn't really hold. And then it just creates this pocket that can expand out. So you have depth in that pocket. But I think I might have to go to double-sided tape, as it is more robust. But we'll just leave that for right now. I then found a strip of paper just in my cardstock, and I'm going to make a little tuck spot on the side here. And I need it about, I can trim this up after. Actually, I think I'll trim it now. I'm just going to turn it over, line it up well there. That's at the bottom. Okay, and then just going to trim that round. Like so. Okay, and then I can trim that other bit in a minute. So that roughly comes up to about here. So I'm just going to take my glue and I'm going to glue down the sides. And I'm just going to put a wee small little bead of glue around there and up the sides a bit. And then we'll get this in place. Like so. And then we can trim off the other side. I just want that score to be able to score. There we go. Okay, and then in this pocket we could put a tag or something. And I can fix that up. I think I might have a delivery, which was supposed to be here tomorrow. But I see the van outside my door. Okay, so we'll let that set. That's setting okay. And then I'm just going to use another little journal card just for a side tuck. So I'm just going to easy peasy. You could use just some, if you don't have one of these little journal cards, you can just use some plain paper and collage on it, or just some double-sided, or it doesn't even, just some cardstock, or paper from a paper pad. And if it's single-sided, all the better, so you're not wasting your double-sided. Okay, so then that's what it would look like and closes up. So I thought that's kind of cute. and we could do some more decorating inside. But let's get this on. So I want to put this roughly there. I am going to put a little bead of lace on here, but I want to get this settled down first. So I think I'm going to go away, come back, put this down, find something to trim here, and move on. Okay, I can't remember where we left off, but this has now been attached. I just used some score tape, and I attached it so that there would be a pocket at the top, so I could put something in there. And then I've just kind of decorated the front a little bit. Then when you open it up, I put a little side tuck here, and just have a little tag in there for now, and just a little gift tag from my stash. And then there's your little pocket there, a little tuck there. We can make a little tag if we want. This is just a little corner punch, and it has different ones than you can use. And maybe we'll be a little bit different and use my slot punch to get your little tag there. I'm not sure if this ribbon's going to go, but we're going to use it anyway, just to get something in there. We could, collage it more, but you're really not going to see it. And basically, you could have it just a journal on the back, or to put a little prayer or something, or just a secret little, actually it's not quite secret because you can see the top of it, but just a little tag for any kind of thing you might want to use it for. Okay, and I'm okay with keeping the ends down. I also, when I put this down, I put a little fringe here. I picked these up last year at Winners, and there was four different ones, and I've not really used much of it, so I thought, let's put some little baubles on the side there. So I put those in there. And then for a closure, I know what I want to do, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to fashion it. So for right now, I do want to use this button on the side here, like so, in some way, but I'm not exactly sure. For now, I'll just tie it closed. This is an elasticated shiny cord that I picked up at the dollar store. So that's the cover. Now I want to do, I know this is might end up being two parts, because I'm not sure how long this is getting, but the second prompt for January the 2nd was envelope. And I had always intended on doing something with this envelope. The kicker is that I cut this out for now for this. I just did this, but it was just a brown envelope, and I had already adhered it, and I had always wanted to do something with it. So what I decided to do was decorate this envelope, and maybe it'll show you what you can do with an envelope that you've already attached. So what I did is I just measured this length, the length and the width, and then I took a piece of tracing paper and I traced around the envelope bit, which you really didn't have to do, but I wanted to get it so that it was quite mirrors the actual envelope that's there, and I like how that kind of tapers. So I did that, and then once I got my length, I just stuck it on the end of my paper. I traced around it and just cut that bit out, and this was the paper that I had. So it was just green paper. I measured it out. I put the thing on the end, and then I measured just this part here, just the square part. I took off the actual flap there, and I drew a line down, and then I just took my ruler and I went from diagonal to diagonal. Okay, and then where the diagonals met, I made a straight line down. And I took one of my die cuts, my framelets, and I lined it up so that it was straight on the lines. And I ran that through my, this way, I ran it through my Cuttlebug. So then what I did is, and this will be prompt number 4, January 4th, outline. We already did a bit of an outline when we kind of made this little rounded bit, but something that's a better way to address the prompt, I think, is I then put this down and I took my pencil and I used this to outline the shape on my envelope. So then I removed that, and based on that outline, I cut an aperture a little bit bigger than what my window is. Okay. Then I found some packaging, just something off I'm not sure what, something that was bound for the recycle bin. And I just put some double-sided tape on it so that I can have a little aperture window. And I'm just sticking that down. Okay, and then I'll glue that down. You could use a glue stick for this. I think I'm just going to use a little bit of Elmer's glue. However, there's going to be a bit of a flap there too. So I think where the flap is, I might use some double-sided tape, because this flap is going to go back and forth. So it might be nicer to have a little bit better adhesion there on that line. But for the rest of it, actually, because that's plastic, I think I'll just put a little bit of double-sided on the plastic so that it will adhere a little bit better to the paper. Okay. And then I'm only going to take it off. I'm not going to take it all off in case it gets stuck down and it's not stuck in the right place. Then I would be not happy. Okay. I'm going to just use just a little bit of the Elmer's glue. If I use a lot of this water-based glue, it will warp my paper, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, I could use Fabri-Tac here. I just don't want to get the Fabri-Tac back out. And I find that the Fabri-Tac, because I've tried different micro tips for the Fabri-Tac, and I find that the glue just gets a bit gloopy, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to have to turn it this way so I can line it up better. And I'm just going to start down at this corner. And okay, and I think that's pretty good. So pull that off. Press it down. Okay, I have a little piece of glass that I keep handy. When I'm not filming, I try to put it on my surface here because I can scrape off any glues and stuff that actually get on the glass. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So then I'm just gonna get that ready, and I'm just going to get some glue down here. And I thought this was a great way to make use of an envelope that maybe you already have attached in your journal, and you're kind of wanting some ideas of what to do with it. So this is a great a great little project you can do. So now that we've got that down, I'll trim that up a little bit better later. I'll trim that a little bit there so it's more even. But I also went ahead and made a little insert for my window. So I will need to say, I only needed enough to cover the aperture. Let me get it in there. See what it looks like. Might not like it. Yeah, I think that's okay. It would look like that. Okay, so I wanted to give that a good chance to dry before I try to bend it. But I think we can try to bend this envelope now. Without warping it. I'm just pressing that down really hard with the bone folder. Okay. So then that can go back to being our little, which I'll trim up this after. Now why isn't that? Oh, because it went here. So this goes like so, which is fine. I can use a different paper clip if I don't like it, or I could decorate on this side maybe. But okay, so that kind of works. And then I was thinking about, I'll trim that up as well, about doing something for the back panel. And we could also use this envelope to outline, to make an outline of this so that we can cut it off. Okay. What's happening here? I think it's getting a little bit, it might be getting too thick. Because see, we've got that on the inside, that on the inside, and then now we've got another layer, which really shouldn't matter. I kind of liked this. All right, so I'm going to cut this along here. I thought this looked kind of fresh, bright, this paper. And then could put that on the back. Okay, and then I'm just going to put a thumb notch there, but just make sure that it's not as... Yeah, that lines up pretty good. Just make sure that it's not as deep as the other one. Okay, and so I'm just going to make a wee little thumb notch in this one. See if I can line it up pretty good. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Although, kind of like it a little bit. There's just, it's going to be hard to kind of put stuff in and out of that pocket. And I'm thinking like a photo or something can go in there. And I guess we really don't. Yeah, see, that makes it feel a little less thinner. I think I'm going to wait to figure out what I'm going to do on my background for that. But I do want to get this down, but I'm thinking that I want this a little bit smaller. So there's a little bit more room to put stuff in and out. So I have just a wee little, I'm just going to do the same thing, is just make a wee little. Yeah. I kind of like that, and then it looks like there's a little bit of something there. Okay. So we'll get this down. And I just need to be careful not to take it all the way up to there. I'm going to end up gluing it onto the background. And this is a bit thicker paper as well. Okay, and then I could always notch those out, those little flaps there. So that's a way to use an envelope that you already have in your journal, or one that you don't. You can always do this little trick with any envelope. All right, so then the last thing I wanted to do today was do something with tickets. All right, so I am gonna go away, have a think, and be right back. Okay, the last prompt I want to do something with is the ticket prompt. That was day number 3, and it's tickets. If you have been watching my channel, for my birthday, you'll know that I had received from the girls a ticket to a candlelight string orchestra of the Bridgertons. Just trying to read what that says. So I wanted to do a little something with this so that I could journal about the night. And the night is in January. What I came up with is I want to create a little booklet, and then I'll have a little journal spot and a place to keep my ticket. I measured twice the width of my ticket, and then I just cut a piece of pattern paper, and then I just cut it a little bit bigger than what my ticket was, and I just cut a little bit of coffee dye paper to go as an insert. I'm just going to put a little line of glue right down the middle. I was going to get out my stapler, and I have a long arm stapler. I was just going to staple it, but for the sake of one insert, I think the glue will work just fine. Okay, so get that in, press it down into the crease, fold it, and I think that'll be fine. And then I can have a little journal spot and also have a place where I can keep my ticket. So for my ticket, I'm going to glue that in, but I'm only going to glue 3 sides. I may not want to have a little tuck spot, but I may want to. I don't know yet. So I don't want to limit my possibilities. So I'm just going to put a little bead of glue around the 3 sides so that the open side faces out, like so. And then if I want to tuck something in there, I can tuck something in that side. Okay. And then the last, what I want to do is just decorate the front of it a little bit. I wasn't sure. I pulled out I have this, which has some music notes, but I also have just a couple sticker books. And I'm thinking for right now, the sticker books will be fine. I'm going to tuck it back on this side, close to the front. Why is that getting caught up? Close to the front. So I may want to have a little something towards the top. And I don't want it like a season's greetings thing, because I don't. At this, maybe a little ornament would be nice, as it is as it is. Well, I found a couple things that I'm just going to get down. And with this one, I can't have, well, I could, I suppose, but I don't want anything really dimensional because it's going to be slotted in and out of that pocket there. But I found a couple things that would be kind of cute. So this, some music, as the event is going to be a music event. And just a couple little things there. I'll get that out of the way. Okay, and then we'd open it up, and we have a couple little pages to write about the evening, and I can decorate the pages later, and we'll put that in there. Wow, so I apologize that this has turned into quite a long video, but I did want to catch up with some of the prompts for Junk Journal January. We did the cover, we did the prompt number 2, which was the envelope, and I will do more with that envelope. We looked at making a little booklet out of a ticket and used the outline with our envelope and with our cover, and also depth, in that we created depth by making a rounded spine and also by making an accordion pocket. So I really hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today. And we will be meeting up again soon, as the Marguerite Miller is my next project. So until we meet again, I hope you stay safe and well, and bye for now.